because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
Yeah, baby, we got that to work. Gentlemen and ladies, shankers and ringers, welcome back to the Go Track, the podcast about golf and golf adjacent stuff, mostly from Africa. TBag here. Very stoked that you guys could finally hear the intro music. JDV and Tucky. Guys, we did have a 4-ball booked for today, but you know what happens? You book a 4-ball, you always have that one mate who phones you, like 5 minutes before you about to tee off and says, listen, guys, still in bed, only went to sleep like 2 hours ago, not going to make it. So yeah, Hoffer's looks like he may have fallen on his sword, but JDV, nice to have you on this evening. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks, T. Very good. Hopefully Hoff can ring the club, and when he arrives, he'll just be like, what hole do you think those oaks are on? Can someone lend me a cart and I'll drive out to the 8th and see if I can catch the back 9?
Yeah, he'll meet you for a halfway pie.
Yeah.
And secondly, guys, big announcements. Thrilled to say, absolutely no longer just a friend of the show. We, after an intense interview process and what can only be described as quite a dark initiation ceremony, now a fully fledged member of the Go Track team, the one and only Nick Tucky Tatham. Tucky, nice to have you with us this evening, boy.
TBag, JDV, thanks guys. It's an absolute privilege to be part of the team. I know that you mentioned the initiation process. I don't think we'll go too deep into that. I think it was more than enough caffeine for me. I think buzzing for about 48 hours after all those cappuccinos. But boys, it's great to be here. It's great to be on board with you guys, and hopefully we can do some really cool things. Talk about golf, maybe not talk about golf, but I think it's going to be awesome. Thanks, guys.
Tucky,
Terence, you forgot. Terence, you forgot to mention that the actual interview and initiation was Tucky interviewing and initiating us. I think it was more of us trying to beg him to be part of us than the other way around.
Yeah, listen, that's like we don't have to play. We don't have to show all our cards now, JDV. But yeah. So we were like, Tucky, what do we need to do here? Give us some pointers. But Tucky, just briefly for our listeners, our guys have obviously heard you on the show before, making some outrageous picks. But give us your sort of background on your relationship with golf and why you decided to apply for this job with us.
Well, T-Bag, it was an application that came across my desk, and I felt like it was something that I really had to jump at. Felt like the applicants were many, and I needed to sort of stand out. So my inability to play golf is probably the one thing that sort of stood me in good stead. Jacques seen it a few times. We played a bit of golf together in the past. I wouldn't say that I'm a terrible golfer, but I'm definitely not up there with the best. I'm one of those guys who likes to keep his expectations very low, because that just means that I can't be too disappointed when I'm 4-putting. So it's my relationship with golf is a frustrating one, but it's a love that I've had for a very long time. I just, same old as a lot of other people. I just really don't get the opportunities to play enough. So that's also a main reason why I got on here, because, geez, I'm hoping that we can play some golf.
Well, look, it is the one thing we strive to do, and luckily we have we have people to mentor us like Jacques de Villiers, who we can only look up to in awe with the amounts of golf that he plays. So, that's our goal. If we can get you out on the fairways and the greens more, then we've succeeded. Very psyched and looking forward to watching you and Hoff play off the black tees, play medal off the black tees. Sort of last man standing match, which will be the final phase of your initiation. So yeah, looking forward to watching that, and Hoffs, of course. Yeah, you can't be on the Go Track if you haven't played at least a full round of 18-hole medal. Just guys, I got to say, we're recording this on a Monday night. After a long weekend, I was saying to Tucky JDV before we came on, I'm shattered. Long weekends when you've got young kids, they live up to their name. Like it is truly a long weekend. Tucky, I know you've been dealing with all sorts of moving houses and single parenting. How are you feeling in general going into the week?
So it was you couldn't have summed it up better. It was a long weekend. I was on a standalone duty for a few days, but I think you just got to keep them active. That's it. Just keep them active, keep them out of trouble as much as you can. But it was a good weekend. I must be honest. I didn't catch. I know the ladies' golf finished on Saturday, but I didn't catch much of it. But I saw the Kiwis got the gold medal there, Lydia Ko. So interesting one. But yeah, I didn't catch a hell of a lot of the golf because I was doing a lot of running around.
No, sure. And I mean, we're fortunate this evening to have JDV on the line with us because he's sort of between golf tours, a rare occasion when he's actually in residence. JDV, I know you've got a big tour coming up this week. How are you feeling? How are the legs? How's the swing? How's the liver?
Yeah, Terence, it's third golf tour in 4 weeks. So I did.
It's unbelievable.
Very kindly take the long weekend off from golf, although I still managed to punch in the cheat code, and I took George to the driving range on Friday and then to the chipping green on Saturday. So I did use the cheat code a bit to get at least scratch the golf itch slightly. But yeah, the weekend following the golf tour is my next knockout round at Cotswold as well. So it's a bit of a tough scene at the moment. And then just before I'm about to leave on Wednesday for another golf tour, I said to Kath, just popping out. I'm just going to do another episode of the Go Track. So enjoy watching TV.
Yeah, enjoy watching TV on your own. I just need to go and talk shit about golf.
Yep.
Well, listen. We've touched on this before, JDV, but we tip our hats to you. We all aspire to be like you. So don't slow down. Keep it up. You've got people looking up at you.
Well, I'm tipping my hat to Kath. I mean, she's an absolute saint for putting up with me. And Kath, when you listen to this, because I'll probably play it for you, thank you very much.
We tip up.
I was about to say, JDV, you probably should have led with that.
Yeah.
This. Yeah. I mean, just a round of applause for Kath. There we go. Thank you, Kath. Thank you for everything you do for the game. I'm not sure the Go Track would be the same without Kath by JDV's side. Guys, I got to say, like yesterday I was watching the end. It was like the last couple of events of the Olympics. I started getting a little bit, almost a little bit teary. It's actually been so enjoyable. Like it's been really, really enjoyable watching like all these different sports every day. My kids are at the age now where I can get them they're watching sports on TV for the first time that they've seen a lot of these sports. Like watching a sport that you know absolutely nothing about, trying to learn the rules of it. So it felt like yesterday, we've had this like absolute smorgasbord of choice. And yesterday just suddenly felt like it came to an abrupt end. But be that as it may, tonight what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick wrap up of the Olympic golf, and then I think what we're going to do, we're going to touch on some of our birdies and bogeys from the Olympic Games in general. JDV, I'm going to start by asking you: did the Olympic golf deliver from your perspective?
Yes, I think so. I mean, for what they were working with and what they got in the end, I mean, it was a pretty great atmosphere. The course, I think, showed out a bit. There was a penalty to the shots that deserved it. There was reward to the shots that deserved it. The leaderboard at the end was a really good leaderboard and a very dramatic finish, I think, going down the last nine, with Rahm's meltdown, Fleetwood was in with a shout, and Scotty Scheffler just pissing on everyone like from an early time, shooting, what did he shoot, 61 in the final round, or 62 I think. Yeah. So yeah, 62. So I mean, I think it delivered the drama. It could have. I think my criticism of it is it didn't deliver anything different from a tight 72 stroke hole tournament that you would have got sort of any other week that was a big signature event or was a big DP World Tour event or I would obviously say that, even though it was lacquer to see, guys were still playing for third and second, where you don't really give a shit about third and second in sort of other tournaments. It didn't really feel like, the major was on the line in terms of that. So yeah, I think it delivered in terms of what it could have produced. As it's as good as it could have been on the men's side. On the ladies' side, again, I think it probably is a bit more elevated than the men's, just being almost on a bigger stage, where with the ladies, with the Olympics behind it, and obviously the casual viewers that pulls in for the ladies. And again, I thought that was a great finish. I think it was a good course for the Olympics. But yeah, so a very long answer to a short question. Yes, I do think it delivered, but with the qualifications that I mentioned.
Tucky, what was your perspective? I know you said you didn't watch much of the ladies, but how did you find the sort of the men's competition?
I found that means so much more than we initially anticipated or initially thought. Well, definitely from my perspective, I think I underestimated how big representing your country is for these guys, and like obviously we saw the emotion of both of them, both of the gold medal winners crying on the podium. Like I think that's a big thing that I oversaw, that I sort of didn't take into consideration, was the fact that these people are representing their countries. So it's not a every week I'm out to win it for myself, to win a big prize purse, and to win FedEx Cup points, to whatever, blah blah blah. It was, I'm here to represent my country, and I'm here to win a gold medal for my country, and it's a far bigger deal than just me playing. And I think that's something that's going to carry this event, and I think it actually might grow the significance of golf in the Olympic Games. I think, because the more you play, the more prestigious it gets. So the more years that you have, so sort of 12 years down the line, I think we're going to be looking at it and going, geez, okay, so Scotty Scheffler's now won 3 Olympic gold medals, or whatever. So I think that was my big takeaway from both the men's and the women's, was that, like, yeah, it's a lot more significant than we might have given it sort of credit for beforehand.
No, I think that's spot on. I think I agree with that. The two big takeaways for me, and I sort of speak probably primarily for the male competition, but the first was that, look, they had probably almost a dream leaderboard coming down the back nine, right? If you compared it to the last Olympics, when you had like Rory Sabatini dueling it out with like CT Pan, that was a tough scene. And when you looked at this year's leaderboard, and look, I'm gonna throw a lot of credit out this to the golf course, because I believe the quality of a golf course is often what determines the cream rising to the top. And it's not everyone's cup of tea, Le Golf National, but it certainly delivers on a drama front, and it certainly separated the best players in the world from the rest. I mean, if I was just looking earlier at the guys who came in the top 5, their final rounds, from first to fifth, what they shot was 62, 66, 65, 63, 66. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood started with the lead and shot 66, and he didn't win. So it was incredible quality golf. And what Scotty Scheffler did in those last sort of 6 holes was nothing short of amazing. And so I agree with you, Tucky. And funny, I actually remember you saying this in our preview pod, where you said, when JDV asked the question about whether you would rather have an SA Open or an Olympic medal, and you made the point that the Olympic medal is got this scarcity factor to it. It's only going to happen every 4 years, and I think that's a real thing. And I think that is only, couple that together with the great leaderboard that they got. And yeah, I agree with you. I was a bit skeptic going into this Olympics, I must say, but I do think it's going to build some momentum now, where it's only going to happen every 4 years. You're going to have to try and find some form coming into it. It's a bit like all the other events in the Olympics. You have your shot, your kind of moments of glory, and then for the next 4 years, you are basically the kind of Olympic champion. And we had 3 great guys on the podium. So yeah, it over delivered for me on the male side. The other part of it that I think we kind of underestimate it is when you say these guys are playing like they're playing for their country. I also think there's a massive like team element to what they're fighting for, and I know that we were begrudging how they've missed a trick here with not having an actual team event, but I think that a lot of these guys feel like they're part of a team in that they're mixing with other athletes, in the Olympic Village. A lot of these guys, we saw footage of them going to watch the other athletes, going to the gymnastics or going to
Allegedly in the Olympic Village, Terence.
allegedly. But you know what I mean. They feel like they're part of the crew. They're part of they're going to be high fiving the basketball guys and the gymnasts and the swimmers and so I think that's an underestimated component where if you think about golfers, it's this very lone wolf kind of sport for most of the year outside of like the Ryder Cup and maybe the President's Cup. It's quite a lone type of sport, and now they've got this like whole team of like athletes kind of around them. So and you could see that with like kind of the emotion that like Scotty Scheffler showed, when he was getting his gold medal and that. So yeah, I would say for me it over delivered. I think the ladies competition started off really well. I thought the leaderboard was a bit tough on the last day. Lydia Ko, obviously she's like an all-timer, and it was awesome to see her. Like it was awesome to see someone like her win. But yeah, the sort of 5 or 6 names after her were not sort of any of your headline names, like people like Nelly Corder, a couple of other players who were there, Rose Zhang, who were there and thereabouts, just never really produced any of the goods. So it was a little bit of a deflation on the ladies' side, but yeah, I mean, I would say that the golf definitely delivered, and it's building up now into the next Olympics. Have you guys given any thoughts to like how you think they could do it better? Because I believe they are considering doing a team component in the next Olympics. Have you got any views on how they could do that, JDV?
Yeah, so I'm not going to retraverse sort of the points I went over in the first pod. I still maintain what I said. I still think it should be an amateur event in terms of that being the pinnacle of like amateur sports rather than the pros. I have sort of thought that maybe we should get more than one sort of medal for golf, and then I would be saying that there should be a sort of individual stroke play medal, and whether that's 72 or maybe 54 hole shotgun start. Shout out Liv. For the men's and the women's, for the men's and the women's individual, and then you've got like match play team events. So you've got a mixed match play foursomes for the ladies, mixed match play foursomes for the men's. Or sorry, not mixed, but I mean men's foursomes, ladies foursomes, mixed foursomes, sort of knockouts. And then even if you have like a better ball, so you could have a number of medals. And I know that I don't want to give out medals like chips, but I know that there's a couple of other. I mean, swimming is a good example.
The swimmers love giving out medals like
chips. But that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that you've got like 100 meter freestyle, 200 meter freestyle, 210 meter freestyle, 210 meter freestyle with like one backstroke and
55 kilogram freestyle.
Yeah. So I'm sure they can give out a couple more medals.
I mean, these oaks play for 4 days and there's 3 medals. It's
You know what I was thinking? I've got a pretty outlandish take here, I think. But I reckon, because no one cares, like if you are, let's say, 8 shots off the lead going into the last day, maybe 10 shots, let's say, you out of it, no chance. I reckon every day they cut guys, every day. So you almost finish with like within 8 shots of the guys who are left on the final day, because they're the only guys who are sort of in with a shot to medal. I think that, so for day 1 you cut them, day 2 you cut them, day 3 you cut them, and then that's what you're left with for the final day. Because, and you need to remember this, is that don't come to me about people not playing enough at the Olympic Games. You've got 18 holes. There was that poor little guy who false started in 100 meter heat 1. and that's all you did the whole Olympic Games. So we were
Done.
talking about that. So I think that you've got a chance there, because then you've got like that. You've got a really like concentrated, intense group playing on the final day. I know that there's probably logistics and everything around it, but that's what I was thinking today when I was in my car.
I love that. Imagine on the final day, you cut guys after 6 holes. Like you had like, you had like 20 guys, and then after 6 holes, you cut it to like 12, and
You
then
only
after like
finish
12
with like
holes,
3
you cut it to
guys,
like
5 guys.
5. It would be very entertaining. But as you say, Tucky, I mean, some of the sports you watch, like the wrestling, I mean, the Oaks they're in there for 3 minutes, bro. That's it. It's done. That's your Olympics, So I gave this some thoughts on the weekend. So this is what I came up with. So bear with me. So this is my proposal for the next Olympics. Okay. So I was, before at our last podcast, I was like, we don't need to play single, like we don't need to play individual. It's just got to be team event. I think I've been convinced now that the individual is still important. Okay. But the way I see the individual is a bit like the way they do the college golf in America, where you play, you still play 4 rounds of stroke play, and that's how you crown the individual men and women champion. Firstly, also, I don't see a reason why they can't play the men and women at the same time. I'm not saying they must play like one 4-ball of, like alternating, but you could have like men on, like they do at every major champion, men on the front 9, teeing off on women on the back 9, and then swap around. So you can have the sort of individual medals running simultaneously. And then what you do is you combine the best 2 scores from a country, and that is so at the end of 4 rounds, you combine the best 2 scores from each country in men and women, and that is your team qualification. So you then rank the teams, and that's for you rank the teams from places 1 to 6. Okay, so they finish on a Sunday. They then have Monday and Tuesday are break days. And then on the Wednesday, what they do, and I'm
Sure,
taking
yeah.
this now from the athletics, where they had this, and Tucky, I'm sure you had to say this word on radio a few times, but I'm going to probably butcher it here. But the repechage, is it repechage? Essentially, it's the round for the losers, the guys who don't make it through the qualification, right? So then on the Wednesday, you have everyone who didn't qualify in places 1 to 6 in the teams. They have like a 1-day better ball playoff for like the last 2 places of the teams. Okay. So by the end of the Wednesday, what you have is you now have 8 teams. So you have 8 men's teams, 8 women's teams. So I'm not thinking you do any mixed. I'm not proposing any mixed team medals. I'm just saying you have a women team competition and a men's team competition. And then you play match play. So Thursday, you've got quarterfinals. You've got 8 teams. The team ranked number 1 plays the team ranked number 8. And you do like a front 9 4-ball and maybe a back 9 foursomes. So you do like back 9 alternate shot. And that's it. And then from there on, Thursday, Friday, so you got quarterfinals Thursday, semifinals Friday, and then you got the finals on Saturday, and that's it. And you have the men and the women's on at the same time, so you can flick between, from a TV coverage perspective, they can, flick between. If you think about it, on the Saturday, you'll have 4 matches which are competing for medals, because you'll have the gold medal match, and then you'll have the bronze medal match. So yeah, that's my punt for Los Angeles.
No,
What do you guys think?
yeah, get the IOC on this. We'll cut this and send it off to them.
54 hole, no cut, shotgun start.
So anyway,
with a DJ on every tee box. Oh shit. Yeah, that was what I think the individual should stay, but I do think that they could, I do think they could. If you looked at how passionate the guys were about winning, like just a medal, imagine the vibe when it's a team game. I mean, it's
100%.
going to be outrageous. And I must say, I have to give a shout out to the French just in general. Like their support for all the sports was really good. But I was really impressed with, like, people turned up at the golf. It was like there were big crowds at that golf. It wasn't an empty golf course by any means. So it was lucky to see. It really was. Guys,
Yeah, that was a great call.
Shout out
I
to my
saw.
boy Victor Perez. Nearly got on the podium. Nearly got on the podium. After I was
Yeah,
told
so
not to
Well,
pick
I'm
a
about to
Frenchman.
burn. I'm about to burn Terence here
Burn
because
me.
he said in the before you got joined, he's like, I was like, shit, Tucky was like pretty spot on with his picks, and Terence was like, no, what are you talking about? Romain Langasque or whatever his name is was like came basically stone last. Like that's the worst pick ever. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not the Tucky picked. Like he picked Victor Perez.
No, I thought you had picked Matthew Pavon.
Yeah, sorry, Matthew Pavon.
He finished
Oh no, he was
DFL.
terrible.
Yeah, he was literally the last take. Also, shout out to the Pies and Gravy WhatsApp group. The only competition that I haven't entered the whole year on Golf Champs. I normally put my money into the pot, and decided whatever, I wasn't going to enter. Ended up that my team would have won the Pies and Gravy. Well, I would have finished tie with the first oak. So yeah, I just sort of waved goodbye to like 10 grand on that group. So thanks, guys. And lightning doesn't strike twice often.
Expert picks.
Those Italians did well for
Yeah,
me.
it doesn't. Yeah,
Out of interest, do you guys want to know? Sorry,
Matt Fitzpatrick withdrew, and he was in my Golf Champs team. It was an absolute nightmare. I looked at my Golf Champs app, and it said that he had missed the cut, and I was like, wait, what? Missed the cut? And then I found out that he withdrew.
welcome to my world, bro. That's Romain Langasque. I don't know. I must say, Fitzpatrick has been a bit of a tough scene since he won that US Open.
Yeah.
It's been. I really wanted to get behind the guy, but it hasn't been good. And like he rocks up at like the links golf courses, and he's like, I don't really like these courses. They're shit, and I'm just battling to get behind that guy. Okay, do you guys want to know, out of interest, what the top 8 teams would have been on the men's side after qualification?
So what are you saying? So we're looking now,
The best two
if we were to
scores.
convert the places, and what were the best? So I would say USA won.
Yeah.
I would say your Italians did well, T. So I would go Italy. So actually Japan, maybe number 2. Not? Okay.
Japan were number 10.
Ooh, tough. Okay, help me out here. Spain?
It's gonna be a bit sneaky, because this is the thing, right? With the team competition, it's about like consistency. So second place was actually Denmark. So it was Højgaard and Ollison. They would have been on 25 under, and then third place was Ireland with Rory and Shane Lowry. They were on 20 under, and then it was South Korea. In fact, then after that, it was a 3-way tie after that between South Korea, Australia, and South Africa.
What's that for fourth?
Yeah, for fourth. Yeah.
So even if it was a team event, old Tom Kim is still going and doing military service.
Well, no, but remember, this just decides your seeding for the match play. So who knows what could have happened?
No, so what I'm saying is that what you're reading now is if the team event had just been the 2 players combined,
sure,
was the team event medal, then South Korea still would have missed it by 1.
Yeah, they would have.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have missed it by 1. Yeah. Apparently, the IOC, when they had the initial discussions with the golf guys, they weren't in, like, because there was a discussion around doing that. Around just adding the guys' individual scores. And apparently the IOC were like, no, absolutely. And under no circumstances will we be doing that. They apparently don't do that in any other sport, where you're taking like an individual performance and adding it to someone else's individual performance. It's got to be under like a team environment. So,
Fair enough.
Anyway, then so it was Korea, Australia, South Africa were tie fourth, and then it was Canada and Spain actually. Oh well, shout out Spain, which is only represented by John Rahm. There wasn't a single other Spanish
Interesting, yeah.
player there. So actually, delete Spain, because do you know Rahm was the only Spanish oak in that whole field?
What's Puig? David Puig.
Actually, yeah,
Where's he from? Am I missing something?
Puig is definitely from Spain.
That's incredible.
No, sorry, you're right.
He's also Spanish.
No, you're right. Sorry, I miscalculated. So it would have been Canada and Spain would have been tied at for 7th and 8th. So the Italians actually would have missed out. Italians and the Japanese, funny enough, even though Hideki was 17 under. The next best Japanese was like 3 over, I think. So anyway, just an interesting kind of way to look at it. Guys, I challenged you guys. I think that's more than enough to talk about golf for the Olympics. I challenge you guys to think a little bit about some of the other sports that we saw. So we had 4 rounds here, but since Huff decided to sleep in through our tee off time, I guess we can change all of these to 3. But we've got 4 categories here. So we've got sports that we don't need at the Olympics, underrated sports, moments that will endure from the Olympics, and sports that South Africa should be better at. So I'm gonna kick off with you, Tucky. Sports that we don't need at the Olympics. Give me one sport we definitely don't need.
Well, there's an obvious one.
Horse riding.
Oh no, come on, that's not the obvious one.
No, obviously, I know someone's going to go with the obvious one. That's why I went with horse riding. But we definitely don't. And the thing is, we're not going to have breaking at the next Olympic Games. Thank God. But I just really
Thank
can't.
God.
I really can't get behind horse riding. I really can't. Not even the show jumping. I didn't even find that exciting. So for me, all equestrian events should be canned. That's my strong opinion.
Can I modify that slightly,
like that.
Tucky? And can I say that
God, my wife's
equestrian
not
events
listening.
should be there, but they should give the medals to the horses.
Then it can stay. If Shooting Star gets the gold medal as opposed to whoever the hell's riding it from Great Britain, I'm happy.
That's like that Jerry Seinfeld skit where he talks about how like the racehorses at the end of the race, all the like the winners are getting these like massive checks, and all the horses are thinking about is like their sugar cubes that they're going to get from the from the trainer.
Or like a horse breaks its leg and they like, well, sorry, you go like the captain goes down with the ship. Sorry, you're also getting euthanized, rider.
Put the curtain around him. Get it done.
I'll never forget that one Durban July. I think it was like the second Durban July that I ever attended, and like the favorite was like an overwhelming favorite, and we were all standing there on the finish line, and like all the horses come past, and they're like, "Jeez!" Like didn't see the favorite come in, and then next thing you look up on the big screen, and there's just this like tent going up like out on the course, and like the favorite had like fallen and broken its leg, and that was it. Didn't make it to the finish line. Didn't get its sugar cubes that night.
Yeah.
That horse that did you see those videos of that there was that drama with that UK lady who was like whipping the horse? Did you hear about that with the dressage?
Mm-mm. No, what happened?
Yeah.
So there's a
before she's like the most decorated British Olympian.
What happened?
And T, do you want to tell the story?
I think you know it better than I do.
You brought it up. Well, I don't know. But what I've come to understand was that she's been caught, abusing horses. And then just before the Olympic Games, they sort of made it common knowledge. that she was doing this
what
very
happened
public.
is there was a video that came out of her like supposedly like training a horse. So there was like a junior rider on this horse, and she's got one of those long like whips in her hand, and she's just like smashing like the legs of this horse, like basically like gets it into a corner and just like, because I don't know, the horse is not. Have you ever watched dressage, JDV? I mean, it's the most absurd like thing in the world where the horses are like, you know, like prancing on
Yeah,
one
no, no,
spot
they're
and
like
then they turn around in a circle, and it's like, yeah, exactly. So anyway, yeah. So this video was released like a week before the Olympics, and this lady's like, I think it was like her 5th Olympics or whatever. And you know, the thing is with the POMs is that the equestrian, it's a bit of a class thing there. So it's like they're all like descendants of like lords and ladies, and so yeah, it caused a bit of a scene in the UK with this like viral video of this lady like whipping a horse, and the animal cruelty
horse
people were all over her.
whipping the
And
horse.
yeah.
Yes, I was
Anyway,
super
Tucky,
confused the one time when we were watching the equestrian and like they've got the age of the horse there as well. So we were watching it. I was like, holy shit, this girl's like 14 years old. This is amazing. Like it was actually the age of the horse. The lady, we were like, that is the oldest looking 14-year-old girl I've ever seen in my life. She looks about 35. Anyway, she was about 35 and the horse was 14 years old. Or maybe the number of the horse was 14. I don't know. I don't really understand it.
yeah, I must say, it's a very like my in-laws were big horsey people, but the equestrian stuff at the Olympics was a bit of a blind spot for me, Tucky. I didn't certainly wasn't drawn to any of it, and but I like it. I like that call. Let's get rid of the horses and the horse people. We don't need horse people. We don't need horse people at the Olympics. JDV, I'm going to give the next one to you. Get rid of a sport for us.
Get rid of a number of sports. Get rid of all the professional sports that have their own ones. I'll reiterate what I said in the previous one. Get rid of tennis. Get rid of soccer. Get rid of golf in the format that it's in. You know,
Jeez,
sports where
JDV.
they've got a proper, legitimate World Cup. Get rid of it. Don't need it at the Olympics.
I'm glad you did that because it frees me up. It frees me up to pick a sport. But yeah, you know, the biggest one for me there was the football. I mean, did you see before even the Olympic opening ceremony, they had like mass like riots at one of the football games, and I was like, great, this is how like the Olympics are starting with football hooligans running wild. I mean, we literally do not need football at the Olympics. So, but thank you for taking like 4 cards off the table there, JDV.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna say, like, can we get rid of walking like as a sport? Like, what are we doing? Like, are you guys in or out on walking?
I'm out. So far out.
Because
Well, walking is
I'm fucking way
well,
out.
walking isn't walking just the dressage for humans.
You know, when you look at like where a lot of these Olympic sports come from, you know, it's like can you move very quickly, or can you move over like a long distance? Can you jump very high? Can you lift something very heavy? It's like it talks to like primal like instincts in people. Like, when the fuck are you like primarily like walking very fast away from something? Do you know what I mean? Like you're going to be running, right?
Well,
Why do you need to walk fast? Like if you need to walk fast, then you should be running. Like I'm sorry, it's just.
Have you not watched when they open the gates to the Masters, Terence? There's like a no running rule, and the Oaks are like all like speed walking champions.
Is there really no running at Augusta?
I promise you, watch when they open the gates at Augusta. You're not allowed to run within the grounds. So Oaks get their like speed walking on. So maybe that's where it originated, where they were like, there is an actual practical application to this sport.
That's a great sign, JDV. That's a great sign. That's a great counter to my get rid of walking. I think the part that really annoyed me was not only did they have a female walking medal and a male walking medal, but they had a mixed relay walking medal, and I was like, Fuck this shit. Under no circumstances. I mean, the golfers play for 4 days and they're only like playing for one medal. It just it just grated me that I think it was that mixed relay walking medal. I was just like, I'm sorry, this has gone too far now.
It's all the walking lobbying that they do, Terence. You know, it's like Big Pharma. They've got like big walking. It's all the big walking brands that are obviously lobbying the Olympic Committee to make sure that there's an overrepresentation of medals in walking. Them and equestrian, I think they're in cahoots. This is my conspiracy theory that I'm starting.
What is a big walking brand?
What is a big walking brand, JDV?
A big walking brand, I would say
Johnny Walker.
No, I'm thinking like, what's like an athletic brand that's not like super athletic, like Umbro, or what's that like rugby? I don't know. Hoff's the big brand guy. We're missing his input here.
How would you marry a brand to walking, Tucky? This is your area of expertise.
I would, you know what? I would like put Under Armour as like a walking brand. Like you don't see many people wearing Under Armour running shoes, like serious runners. But I feel like people who try really hard wear Under Armour, and I feel like walkers try really, really fucking hard. So I think that they would be the perfect brand ambassadors for UA.
Or Maxed.
Careful, we won a few medals in Maxed.
Yeah, I know. Oaks were looking very sweet in their Maxed gear. I was like, yeah, go MRP, man. Yes, your Oaks are representing. Some tracksuits that fit for a change.
Maybe something like fairly established, like like British Airways or something. Just like sort of a household name, something kind of a little bit old school.
So what's the walking brand? Someone that flies.
Yeah, but I don't know. When I think of British Airways, I think of sort of like retired, like people from the UK, like flying around. Anyway, we're out of our depth here. This is where we need Hoff. Yeah. I mean, Hoff's our brand guy.
Well, Hoff's got some family ties to professional walking, but I'll let him tell that story for another day.
Oh, jeepers! That's you can't throw that bait out there. That's incredible. You might need to get him to phone in to explain that one. Okay, guys, we're going to move on to what for underrated sports or underrated sports in the Olympics. So, what was something that you sort of never really gave much thought to?
T, just before we move on, can we just all note, we all agree that breakdancing was the shit of sports at the Olympics. Yeah. Like breakdancing went without saying. We assumed that all of us were going to pick that. So yeah, just before we get everyone moaning at us thinking we didn't pick breakdancing.
Yeah.
It was
no, I mean
the no-brainer.
I think we gave that as the default pick for Hoff. But yeah, I mean.
Okay, sorry, carry on.
I need to just quickly remind everyone, we are, at the Go Track, we have started a collaboration with Wonderpar, the golf app, the free app that rewards you for simply playing golf. By spending time on the golf course, you can earn Wonder tokens, which you can use to purchase golf offers and experiences. They also offer Wonderpar course boosts. So as some of you will remember, members of our home courses, so that would be Gowrie Farm and Cotswold Downs in KZN, as part of our partnership, we have boosted these courses on behalf of the Go Track for all our listeners. So anyone who plays these courses, you'll earn roughly 60 Wonder tokens, which I think we calculated last time, Jacques, is around 30 Rand per round of using just using the app. So that's pretty decent. We do plan on boosting more courses across the country as the Go Track membership grows. Wonderpar, set foot on any golf course and watch your wallet grow. Underrated sports. So maybe something that you didn't really give much thought to, and then maybe, what you watched at this Olympics and you were maybe a bit drawn in. Tucky, I want to start with you. What did you like?
So mine's not necessarily a sport, but more a discipline of a sport. But I got into the decathlon.
Interesting.
Really,
that is very interesting.
And they made it seem quite cool. Like you could follow it quite nicely throughout. And watching those, it's unreal. The one thing that I noticed is think how many pairs of shoes they've got to have, all different spikes. They would have their high jumping spikes, their long jumping spikes, their javelin throw spikes, their running spikes. It's a bizarre thing that I thought about, but like, and also how much they have to train at each discipline. Like, when do you find time to jump between your high jump training and your 800-meter training? Like, those guys were unreal. I know that, like, what they called like the ultimate athlete or whatever the decathlon winners called, but I was really drawn into that Norwegian guy. I think he was Norwegian, the guy that won. It was pretty epic.
Okay.
Yes, it's Tucky. That is awesome. Just again, man, I wish Hoff was here, because Hoff is vehemently against the decathlon and the pentathlon and the heptathlon and all the tathlons, except for maybe the triathlon. I don't know his feelings about that. Yes, as we had a enormous debate at varsity in 2008 Olympics about this exact point, where I was on your block. I was like, these are the ultimate athletes. They like can do all of these things. They train for all of them, and everyone was like, but they like shit at all of them. They're not like actually good at any of them. And like the counter argument, which I sort of got when I started watching it, where I was like, I sort of turned on the Olympics. I was like, flip, shot putters have got pretty skinny like in recent times. Like there must have been some new technique or something that they picked up that the shot put ladies are so skinny. And yes, as then I realized that they were like throwing half of what the like actual shot putters were throwing. And I must say, Tucky, like I've sort of found myself leaning more towards like Hoff's side of the argument, although I was fully on your side of the argument, where I was like, oh, do I really want to watch like someone like shot putting half the distance that the actual shot putters shot put? Like I understand that you need to be good, but you like average. Like, and I know they're not average, like don't get me wrong, but yeah, I did start coming around to the other side of the argument. So I'm in a good position where I can see both sides of the arguments. I'm not as vehemently against all the tathlons. But yeah, that is a very, I would say bold, and I like it. It's a provocative call.
You know the thing is, I was just saying that, like, you can have that argument that like they just average, but they've got the event. So like they've got the event, so you're going to do it. So like you can't come and say, oh, but they just average at all of these things. But they're not really, because they're winning gold medals in the decathlon, where they're supposed to be as good as they possibly can be in 10 different events. If that's my defense. Is that like otherwise they're just
I see that then I see that defense, and I raise you breakdancing with that argument.
oh god, don't even get me started.
Yeah, I hear you, Tucky. I hear you 100%. Like it's real sports, and they need to be good at a number of actual sports. But I mean, and again, I need to maybe go into the history of like how they pick the sports that they do. And I know they're all sort of the classical track and field disciplines, but yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I mean, I do. Okay, put it this way: I can understand the skill it takes to be good at all of them. I just don't know how it translates into like a great spectator event at the end of the day. And again, like unless you're watching right at the end where you're seeing like, and apparently they all of those decathlon people shit themselves for the 1,500 meter, because they're like all pretty good at like fast explosive sports and like super bad at like that endurance. So that's like, but again, it's got like a weird sort of what's it, like a morbid curiosity and seeing like how they stack up to the actual best of the best.
Do you know what I was thinking about like when, because I'm also kind of on the fence with it, but because you look at them and they really are very, very athletic looking people, you know, and like you're just like, this is amazing that they can like do all of these different disciplines. But when you zoom out, and then you like suddenly like every now and again I would switch on the TV and they would like have like it would be like, I don't know, shot puts or something. And I didn't realize that it was like the decathlon shot put. I thought it was like the normal shot put. And then you'd see them throw and you'd be like, oof, you know, like, and it's almost like when they have like pro-am golf, like on the TV, when you're like going between like the pros and then just like an amateur, you know, like just like the amateur like teeing off, like they're playing off like the white tees, and you know what I mean, when like you see like a pro like drive the ball like 330 yards, and then you see like the am sort of like just nut one, like 200, like a squeeze one 240 yards out there. It's like it's a little bit like shocking when you see it on TV. But yeah, I like it. It's I don't know. I guess it's there's something I really respect how they can do so many different events in like because they do it in a very short space of time as well. The way they chop and change between those events. So I agree with you. I agree with JDV. I think it's a bold call. JDV, I'm gonna go next. So I'm gonna have I'm gonna have two sports here. An honorable mention. Pretty weird one, but I found myself strangely drawn to watching volleyball, like indoor volleyball.
I was going to say the beach volleyball. I wonder why you're attracted and strangely drawn to watching that.
No, well, the indoor volleyball. Yeah, there was just a good there was a seriously good crowd vibe at the indoor volleyball, and just the way the game works is that it's very like it's short, it's like intensive. Matches were kind of even, like very, very interesting. I didn't know much about it, and ended up towards the end of the week watching quite a bit of volleyball. So that's my shout out. But I think like for me, the weirdest sport that I was like couldn't have had any time for at all going into it, but is that like that indoor cycling when they're on that track. But there's a lot of versions. Again, I think they hand out way too many medals in that indoor cycling, way too many medals. But the most interesting version of it is when they have just 4 cyclists from one country, and they're literally doing like it's like a time trial. So they do, I guess, I don't know, 10 laps or whatever. And each rider sort of does like one lap at the front, and then they like peel up. So did you guys watch it? Like where the front rider after like a lap or whatever peels up, and then they kind of have to peel back and join the slipstream at the back, and like just the precision that it required for that guy to like peel, and like they literally come in centimeters below that back tire. And a couple of times when you were watching it, that back rider like peeled too hard, and the other riders sort of left him. And once there was a gap, like once there was half a meter or a meter or 2 meters, that guy, he was just gone. Like the effects of that slipstream was so hectic that guy at the back couldn't keep up, and then that team was like screwed. So honestly, I'm not a big cycling guy at all, and generally I find cycling incredibly boring. But I was weirdly drawn towards watching that. I was kind of almost hoping for them to like touch wheels, for Oaks to like wipe out. It was
sound like me watching F1.
Yeah. Yeah. I was sort of rooting for carnage, but or sort of rooting for the Oak to be left behind, and then to see whether he could keep up. So yeah, that was my kind of most surprising one that kind of drew me in. JDV?
Yeah, track cycling though, sorry, it's such a bizarre thing because like there are all those different disciplines, and everyone is sort of like it just seems so chaotic. I remember years ago I had to actually cover track cycling, and I was so far out of my depth that it's absolutely frightening. I've never been in a situation where I'd absolutely no clue what is going on here. I'm having to ask all these questions to all these people to try and find out like what races just happened. Was it the Crinum, or was it the individual pursuit, or what is it? What is it? I watched a little bit, and I still had absolutely no idea what the hell was going on. But speaking of not knowing what's going on,
what do you mean? Were you commentating on it?
No, I had to write about it, which is even worse.
Oh.
But just to go back to the
that was before the days of ChatGPT, where you could be like, write me an article.
Not back then. Yeah. But the volleyball, please explain to me why is there always one guy who's wearing a different color shirt in each team?
Yes, good question. Please.
So Terrence, I actually Googled this last night. I Googled this last night because my son was asking me the exact same question. So they that person wears a different color shirt because they called I don't want to say it's like it's not libido, but it's like the legedo or something. It's like some like Italian word like that, and it basically means that they're like purely a defensive player. So they're not allowed to go into the front half of the court, and they're not allowed to serve. And the reason they wear different color shirts is so that the umpires know that person is not, because the way it works in volleyball is that you between your team you literally alternate serve. So like you cycle around, like everyone sort of moves, like round to the right. That person is purely a defensive player, and that's why they're normally like quite short, like stocky people, and they're just there to like basically try and catch the smashes and that. So yeah, that's as much as I can tell you.
Nice. Well, it's more than I knew.
JDV, what have you got?
I'm actually a bit bleak. I should have picked something more controversial because, like Tucky, I know we had a go at your decathlon, but I mean I love that take. I'm gonna go with archery. I thought archery was easy to pick up. So I mean, you could turn it on. You sort of knew exactly where it was. There's an easy scoring method, and when you see the guys doing the archery side on, and again, if there was a bit of wind, it might have been a bit better. But shit, they are so flipping good. I mean, they are firing it like quite high into the air at like a proper distance under huge pressure, and they are just slotting those tens. So for me, and I'd even go a step further and say that archery team event where you are as a team trying to hit a certain score. I mean, having France as the home nation in the final against South Korea, who are like unbeatable at archery, I've got a newfound respect. And again, like we were saying about Olympic sports, that is the tip top of archery, is to get an Olympic gold medal. So for me, that was my sort of underappreciated event.
Yeah, I must say we watched quite a lot of archery, and I think in some ways the one thing they didn't almost show enough in that archery is how far away that board is that they're shooting at. Like every now and again they'd give you that camera angle from behind, and then you see the thing like sort of bending,
it
like
loops
that.
in there.
Loops in there.
When they show it from behind, it looks like just like bang, 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 like the guys that are shooting the handgun up. Yeah, I mean, shout out the guy from Turkey. I mean, he's become like a meme for the rest of eternity. But it's not. I mean, those oaks are looping it in there. I mean, it's proper skill.
Yeah, I know it's
JDV, you can head down to the Kings Park Archery Club there.
So I'm one step ahead of you, Tucky. We did a bit of that on one of our weekend getaways as in our company, and we shot a bit of flip. It was absolute carnage. Oaks were basically shooting their feet off at the archery. So I do have an appreciation for the difficulty.
Guys, it was a pretty epic Olympic Games. There were a lot of like moments that stood out, but what was like a moment for you? And I mean, it can be serious, it cannot be serious, or you can pick one of each. But what was a moment of the Olympics that you think will endure like over the next couple of years? Because there's a lot of stuff we'll forget very quickly, unfortunately. Maybe I'll start with you, JDV.
Yeah, and again, I think you touched on it at the end there, T. So I've got like 5 different things written down here, so I'm interested. So I don't want to just piss on all of them before you and Tucky have a crack. I've mentioned the Turkish shotist oak who came second, with his hand in the pockets and without all of the gizmos. But I think for me, after all of the shit that everyone was giving breakdancing before it happened, and to sort of close off with the breakdancing, everyone was like in anticipation, what is this Olympic sport going to give us? And we got Rachel Gunn from Australia, aka the Ray Gun, which is a pretty sick name, I think, giving us her jumping like a kangaroo, followed by the side worm, and there was some flipping funny content coming down. They were like, finally an Olympic sport my golden Labrador can compete in, and it's just a video of the dog like wiggling around on its back. So look, I think from maybe it's a real recency bias because it's one of the sort of the what's doing the rounds now, but I think from a more holistic approach, it does speak to all of the concerns that people had about breakdancing being an Olympic sport, and I do actually feel a little bit sorry for her. I mean, if she qualified legitimately and the rest of it, and I think she got absolutely dead 0 points for that routine. But again, I mean, should it be an Olympic sport? Probably not.
Yeah, and to me, it speaks to kind of the wider problem of that. Like, it seems like the Olympics has with like its identity. Because I'm seeing now, like, and I mean, I sent this to you guys earlier, but like, like sports that they're adding to the next Olympics. Flag football. So this was a message that we saw earlier for the USA Olympics in 4 years' time. So some of the sports. Okay, squash. Shout out JDV. I'm totally fine with squash being there. I think sports like squash, maybe even paddle, could be there. But like flag football, lacrosse, baseball, softball, cricket. I mean, like, what are we doing? Like,
there.
what? I don't know, Tucky. What are your thoughts? Like, what are the IOC trying to do with these? Like, almost so in some ways they're picking some of these like very mainstream sports, like football, rugby, cricket. I don't know what they're trying to achieve with that. And then on the other side, they're like trying to X Games the Olympics with like skateboarding and breakdancing and BMX and like what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I've found, just looking at that list of the sports that are coming up, they're very American centric. Lacrosse, flag football, baseball, softball. Like how much of the rest of the world actually takes those games seriously? Well, baseball is probably baseball and softball the most international games you've got there. But like lacrosse is very American, flag football obviously unbelievably American. Um, and then squash and cricket. Like as a cricketer, as a big cricket fan, I'm really happy to see T20 cricket at the Olympics. I also don't know how well it's going to translate though to an Olympic sport. I'm excited to see how it does go. I think it's also a case of making sure that they get the competition format right in terms of like groups and that, so it doesn't necessarily drag on as long as sort of like obviously like a World Cup would or something like that. They really need to make it short and sharp and sort of playing every second day at least for the teams so you can get it done quickly because they've obviously got to do a men's and a women's. But like as you mentioned, I just like skateboarding has been in the games for a while. Like skateboarding, surfing, those sort of things. Like I was completely uninterested in the surfing. I must be honest. I know that it was sort of different times, but like it's not something that I'm gonna get up and watch. I didn't watch any of the skateboarding. I know that we had someone. I didn't watch any of the. Well, I watched a little bit of the rock climbing. I thought those guys were incredible. How fast, and those ladies, how fast they can get up that wall. It was unreal. But it's another thing that I'm pretty uninterested in. It's not really
with the
a
rock
game or sport that is going to move the needle either.
With the rock climbing, Tucky, is it? And again, I'm pretty sure this is not the case, but I mean, maybe because they're so good, it looks like this. It looks like the guy like holding the safety rope is like pulling them up. So I was like, again, with the like equestrian where they give the medal to the horse, I'm like, maybe they should give the medal to the oak, like pulling the rock climber up the wall. Like
Supporting.
whoever's the strongest oak, they can just launch their rock climber up the wall the quickest.
The thing is, though, there were two other rock climbing disciplines that no one ever saw. You didn't see that, like there was a one where they got to climb up, sort of like around an upper wall and that sort of thing. But you only ever saw that speed element to the rock climbing because that was the only sort of entertaining, exciting bit of the discipline. So like that, I guess that speaks to what people want to see. But yeah, just to get back to what you were saying, T, like I think that you're right in terms of like you don't want to X Games it. Like the X Games, if they, I don't even know if they still have it, but the X Games is the X Games for a reason, and it draws that crowd. I don't think that that's like a mainstream Olympic crowd, if you know what I mean. Like those are sort of like your guys that sort of stick to what they do, stick to what they love. They skateboarders, they surfers, they BMXers, that sort of thing. Those guys do that, and then I guess you then keep your Olympic sports as your Olympic sports. I don't know. Am I segregating guys too much? I don't like, but that's just sort of how I see it.
No, not at all. I 100% agree with that. And you know what it is? It's this absolute infatuation that the world has with having to like try and grow their game. So like try and let's make the sport more acceptable or more appreciated by more people around the world. And it's like, no, let's not do that. Let's actually make it more like athletic and more scarce,
More niche.
you know, more niche. You know, it's a bit like I have serious concerns with the way rugby is going at the moment. And like we spoke about this, myself and Hoff spoke about this last year with Jerome in our World Cup podcasts around like how, you know, some of these rugby tackle laws are like everything is shown on a TV replay like 100 times. And, you know, you look at a sport like UFC, Tucky, they very much know what their identity is, you know, and they don't apologize for it. And it's one of the most viewed sports in the world. You know, like trying to incorporate every type of athletic endeavor is not what the Olympics is about. So I think they've lost the plot completely when it comes to like the X gamification of it. And honestly, I don't even know whether they can put that genie back in the bottle now, because as you say, I think things like the X Games might now be secondary to the Olympics. But yeah, I'm very much, call me old school, but I'm very much a fan of like sort of the more traditional athletic endeavors. And I think there's enough sports like that which aren't like fully represented at the Olympics that could be there without us like trying to experiment or bring the youth in or whatever. You know, like we don't have to have every single sport at the Olympics. We really don't, and we don't need them either. Yeah, that's just how I feel about it. And I think to your point, JDV, around the you know, you were talking about the what was it, the breakdancing and how it's, you know, like it could almost hopefully potentially be the tipping point, right, where it was like just such a joke that
what are we doing here?
What are we doing? And like we spoke about this in our last part around like I don't really understand. You mentioned there were quite strict criteria around how a sport can come to be in the Olympics. Like it had to be played in a certain number of countries, etc. And like sports like lacrosse and flag football, I mean, are they really played in like, was it like 40 countries around the world or something like that?
So I think there's a big element of not only grow the game, it's like grow the sponsorship and marketing potential. And as we've seen with golf and the PGA Tour, it's, well, where is the biggest sponsorship and marketing potential? And it's America. So I think it's no surprise that Olympics are pandering to American sports
brands
or sports that Americans play. It feeds into the brands that they can promote.
Yeah.
Again, it's the reason why I think golf is there, why I think cricket is there, why tennis is there, why soccer is there, because they get the big name professional players putting their Rolex on when they're getting their Olympic medals. And unfortunately, I think that's the way of the world, is that you are going to get the big brands dictating, you know, what these things are. But I just want to quickly, go on a quick tangent on terms of like you saying, well, what we should get back. So some of the forgotten Olympic sports, bearing in mind these got actual gold medals for the Olympics. Hot air ballooning, maybe you should come back, get a gold medal for hot air ballooning. The swimming obstacle race, which I think the Oaks had to like swim, they had to like jump over rocks and swim through shipwrecks and the rest of it.
That's sick. I want to see that again. Yeah.
So that was
Sharks
one.
in the
Then
pools.
another one that I think a tug of war Olympic medal would be epic. I mean, imagine for 4 years, you've just got countries like determining, you know, okay, we've got our local tug of war, then we go and like pick the province. And by the end of it, you've just got like specialized tug of war guys, and like South Africa in like a tug of war against
North
Korea. All right, then my favorite of all of them, and this is where I think, there's
I don't think
some
North
gold
Korea would
medals
be
to be
very good
had.
at tug of war, by the way. Just
No, I think they might lose. I think they might lose to South Africa. Arts competitions. So there was Olympic gold medals for 5 categories: architecture, literature, music, painting, and sculpture. So that was in 1948. You could win gold medals for those ones. So it's come a long way. So you could win Olympic gold medals for that, but yeah, X Games I think is the way. Not so much the arts anymore. 1992, you had solo synchronized diving. So I mean that does get your mind around that one. So I mean solo synchronized swimming, not diving. So if you think about the synchronized swim, so solo synchronized swimming, they were saying, well, what do you sync? So exactly, Tucky. I'm glad you asked that question.
Imagine how hard that is.
They synchronize themselves to the music that's playing. So it's someone just like freestyling in the water. So it was basically like the break dancing event in the water in the 92 Olympics. So needless to say, that's no longer there. But anyway, I thought let's just ground ourselves and realize that there's been a number of pretty shitty Olympic events in the past.
You know what we do need back is, and this is legit, and I think the world would be with me, is why on earth is netball not a Olympic sport?
100%. 100%. I was talking about it now. We were talking about what sports should come into the Olympics, and I completely agree with you. Netball should be there.
That's wild. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, it's still a very fast growing sport. Yeah, that's crazy. You know what I think is going to happen, JDV? I was just thinking about this, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It's essentially the commercialization of the Olympics, and that's why we've got all this grow the game stuff. We've got these brands who've basically infiltrated the IOC, and they basically are in the ear of these IOC delegates, telling them, you've got like Nike and Air Jordan, and they're telling these guys that they got to get like breakdancing into the Olympics. But if you play it forward, so let's game it forward like 30 years. I reckon what's probably going to happen is that you're going to have like a breakaway Olympics. So you're going to have this excessively commercial product, which is the Olympics as we know it now. It's just going to become more and more and more commercial. And eventually you're going to get like a breakaway Olympics, which is going to be almost like the Hunger Games. It's going to be like, we're going back 2,000 years, like oaks are naked, they're in like their loincloths, and it's like man on man, like wrestling till the oaks, like arms broken, like it's going to be like caveman Olympics, and that's it's almost like UFC, it's like it's going to become this, like we're going back, like seriously back to the Greek kind of origins. Apparently like back in those days, like they would do like wrestling, and like the oak would eventually stop because the one guy was like pretty much dead. So yeah, I reckon if you game it forward 30 or 40 years, that's probably where we're going to be.
30 or 40 years, so within our lifetime, T. That is a very bold call.
The world's moving quickly, JDV.
Look, I still like the idea of having like different event categories to be like, right, this event, 100 meters, do as much drugs as you want, like performance enhancing, use whatever shoes and equipment you want. Let's see how fast you can go. Like, risk is on you, sign an indemnity at the beginning, like break 8 seconds on the 100 meters. And then you've got like the oaks that don't do any of that, like, as you say, like traditionalists, but almost have like 2 categories and be like, right, let's see what guys can actually do. Like if, I mean, obviously not like putting motors or something on your shoes. That'd be crazy. But like just in terms of, take whatever performance enhancing drugs you want. But sorry, Tucky, I've got a question for you, and you might have seen this, but I digress once more. Given and another little thing I found super interesting, 1924 Olympics 100 meters. And if you know this, Tucky, you can defer it to Terence if he hasn't heard it. But the 1924 100 meters in France Olympics, they ran that race, bearing in mind all of the advances in technology that they've been in running. I mean, if you look at the fact that the track was a very different surface. They had like holes in the ground as their starting grid, you know, the nutrition that the guys have, the equipment that the guys have, the training that the guys do, you know, all of the technology involved. What do you think the difference in the winning time in 1924, the difference in time between 1924 and 2024 was for the 100-meter men?
I saw that, but I can't remember what the difference was because I saw that, you know, for their starting blocks, the guys had to dig holes into the gravel or whatever they were running off.
Yeah, into the turf.
I I reckon it was like 11 seconds.
So just hang on before you. So what are you saying, that they ran it in
Yeah.
11 seconds, or there was an 11
No.
seconds difference?
So they ran it in 11 seconds. No, there were, what's that? 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds difference.
So like a
Yeah.
2-second difference. Okay, Terence.
So I have absolutely no idea, but I probably do have some questions around like what the sort of like the diversity of like the starting lineup was in like 1924, um, in terms of the athletes who were allowed to be at the Olympics.
Yeah,
But
that's a fair point.
but tell me what the actual difference was.
So what do you think it is? I mean, give it a crack before you.
Like 3 seconds.
0.8 seconds. So the actual difference is, like, considering all of the advances in technologies and the rest of it, the actual difference is 0.8. It's less than a second difference
Wow.
in 100 years. So like, I don't know, for me, that blew my mind in terms of, you know, as much as the advancements of technology, like the actual difference in human ability is not that enormous. Like what we can actually
It's
do.
incredible. I think the big thing that you've also got to take away from this
That's
year's
crazy.
race was the fact that they all ran under 10 seconds. So like the times might not be as quick, but I think like across the board, I think you can see that there's a huge development in like the talent and like but that comes down to obviously a lot of different things.
Yeah. Well, it's optimization. I mean, that's it. So I mean, it's the same with golf and the rest of it. You essentially get guys sitting and looking at the numbers and like, how do we optimize every single tiny aspect of it? And then like that's why I mean, I think, like we said, breaking the 2-hour barrier for the marathon, etc., is such a huge moment where, you know, you're almost saying it's impossible. The human body can't do it. And I think that's where the Olympics is for me. And again, if we're looking at the measure of what the sport should be, it should be like a measure of the optimization of like the human ability.
And
You know,
and
it
this
must be testing some sort of a skill.
and this is a very interesting tie back to golf, JDV, because I would be super fascinated to compare sports against each other to see like the impact that technology has had on a sport. Because I would
Or
say
your
that
horse.
yeah, because I would say that in golf, and I'm completely guessing here, but I would be saying that golf would be far and away one of the biggest like changes over a period of 100 years in technology, where, you know, you're talking about the optimization of like the human ability, but like, let's be honest, most of the optimization in golf has just come from like technology, like hardware, not like human ability really.
Look, I think
Is
the shooting will be there as well. I mean, I think maybe those who are shooting like muskets back then, or maybe not. But like,
yeah,
I imagine
but
some of that stuff.
yeah, it's a fascinating stat that I didn't, you know, didn't no idea it was so close. Guys, I'm gonna throw out, and we've done a lot of sidebars here. But for me, in enduring moments, I'm going to focus on one particular sport, and there were two like fascinating moments. The one was not so serious, and the one was pretty epic. But it was in the pole vault, the men's pole vault, and I don't know if you guys watched the men's pole vault final, but in the lead up to the men's pole vault final, there was that pole vaulter from France who sadly couldn't quite get over the bar because his knob got in the way and it knocked it down. I'm sure you guys have you seen those clips
Yeah.
of the guy on his
Apparently,
way
he got offered
down.
he got offered a pawn deal after that, but I mean, I imagine quite a lot of the athletes did.
Yeah. So, I mean, like the guy's got to make the most of his like 5 minutes of fame. But just like the content that came out of that was just fantastic. And then leading on from that was just that unbelievable kind of finale of the men's pole vault final where the Swedish guy Armand Duplantis was just so far and away better than like the second place guy that it was kind of a joke for him, like essentially waiting for all the other guys to kind of knock themselves out. And then he was just like a real showman in some ways. He kind of like played the crowd and whatever, got like everyone behind him. And then you literally had like, there were no other events. Every single other event had finished that evening in the Stade de France. And he had literally the whole Stade de France like cheering him on for that, going for that world record. And then for him to clear it on like his third attempt. And some of the photos and video of that is just like outrageous. It was, for me, it's definitely probably the moment that I'll remember. As with a special mention to the wonderful US sprinter Lyles, who came out like an absolute palika in the start of the 200 meters, and then got absolutely put in his place by the Botswanan Tebogo, and then claimed he had COVID and got into a wheelchair. That was probably my second favorite moment of the Olympics. Tucky?
I've got that one down. That one was also one of mine. Yeah, it was just like, what an arsehole. But the moment that sort of for me is etched in my mind is during that, at the end of the 4x100, when Kani Simbine is running down the straight, and Bradley Nkoana, the guy who ran the third leg, has just got his hand up, like pointing. And like, because at that stage, when he started, he was like, what? He was like sixth. And he just roasted, just toasted these oaks and finished with the silver medal. Like that picture that someone took straight down the track is just like, it's something that's just going to be etched in my mind. Because like that was epic. Akani Simbine obviously been so close.
Yeah, geez, and that seems like a lifetime ago, huh? It was quite an Olympics. So, guys, I think we've done really well. I think we may also have lost Tucky in the tech guy Tucky. This was the second time we've lost him this evening, JDV. But yeah, it's been a really good chat. So just run us, JDV. You're heading off down to the Southwestern Cape. Give us a quick rundown of the courses you're going to be playing over the next couple of days.
So, we've got a little handshake round at the Sedge Links in Sedgefield, which is a mashie, but actually a very cool little layout mashie. So I think we'll probably do a 4-club challenge there over 9 holes when we arrive on Wednesday afternoon. Knysna on Thursday, Plet on Friday, Pazula on Saturday. We were going to play Samola, but they're doing their holotining at the moment. So those are the 3 and in brackets 4 if you count Sedge courses that we're going to play. It should be epic. I did manage to double book my return flights tonight after panicking and couldn't find my confirmation of my return flights from George. So I went and booked them again, and then Swanee got hold of me and said, no, I'd actually booked those for you. So anyway, took the cancellation fees there, and no doubt I'll take a fine when I'm on tour.
Just another $8,000.
No,
cool.
Thankfully it's not. So you get the vouchers. So it's not completely gone, but yeah, I'm gonna have to organize another golf tour somewhere so I can use those Sapphire vouchers.
Awesome, man. Well, we look forward to hearing the tales from there. And Tucky, are you going to be getting out and about this weekend on the golf course at all?
See, hopefully I'm going to be getting out on your track, the Gowrie. I'm heading up there,
Nice.
but I've just got to move a few pieces around in order to make that happen. But that's hopefully the plan for Saturday. Although the rugby kicks off at 11:45, so it's a tough sort of time. Not sure. Not sure if I can get out early.
Are you playing? Are you going to try play early Saturday morning?
That's the idea.
Okay. All right. Well, that's jealous on both fronts, guys. Got a bit of a break on my side when it comes to golf. I'm just looking at the weather here, Jacques. It looks like you guys are actually going to get some nice weather down there.
It was looking absolutely dire at one stage. I was like,
Geez.
basically
No,
looking at
it's
all the golf sites, trying to get rain gear. And
considering you're going at this time of year, it's actually, I mean, it says here 21, 22. Yeah, no, it looks decent. Anyway, gents, yeah, it's been a very enjoyable chat. We are looking forward to our. We did promise that our next episode was going to be the chats on Amdoni, but that is coming up. It's in the editing booth. Jacques is furiously working on editing out his wine induced takes on Amdoni.
Yes,
So yeah,
if the best marketing you can.
Guy.
The best marketing you can do for Amdoni is just like, if you want to listen to a drunken voice note from Jacques, just listen to the Amdoni episode coming up, because good Lord, it's going to be embarrassing.
Tucky, thanks.
I can't wait.
Once again, very glad you got through the sort of first round of the initiation ceremony, Tucky. Looking forward to the medal match with you and Hoff, and enjoy Gowrie. I had some feedback. I was getting so sidebar JDV, but Mr. Jem Cahill was messaging me today, and he's still trying to break 40 on the new front nine at Gowrie Farm. And every time he plays it, he sends me a message. He still hasn't managed to do it. So he sent me a message today. He had another 40 or 41 on the front nine there. So yeah, shame the young man's just not unlocking that front nine yet. Those new holes.
Trying to figure out the puzzle.
Yeah, but lads, thanks for your time. Thanks for everything you do, and we will be catching up in the next couple of weeks. Good evening.